Welcome back to Chats with Jax. Here is my co-star of the day, Mr. Kenneth Paulinelli, IMBD actor, coach, activist, father, husband.
Activist? I don't think I'm an activist.
What's an activist? I just feel like people say
Definitely not what I am, I can tell you that.
Yeah, you activate for people. If one of my buttons pop off, guys, you guys are going to let me know. Nothing fits me no more. So today we're going to talk about, we're going to answer all your guys' questions that you guys have asked us. Not only that, we are going to also just speak about parenthood and marriage. Just lots of conversation here, okay? Mostly people were interested in this YouTube video because of you. You seem to be catching the eye of, thousands of people.
Thousands.
How does it feel to be so popular?
I don't know. I guess I'm just popular by association with you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. By the way, look how fake Zoe's being. She's out here right now being fake AF because Kenny's here, because she's a psychopath. She can't be without him. I mentioned that we're going to talk about parenthood. So I have some questions for you. How does it feel being a girl dad?
It's really awesome, actually. Obviously, when we first got pregnant, I really wanted a boy. And so, obviously we had Penny. I wouldn't trade her for the world. I just love her to death. She's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. And she's so much fun. I don't know. She's like my little best friend. So every day when I come home and she's waiting for me right there when I walk in the door, it's like the best feeling ever. So it's really cool. I enjoy being a girl dad.
Oh, that's really sweet. How do you feel about being... Because I don't think you ever thought that you were going to be a boy dad, right? With all your all the luck that you have in your family, yeah. It was all girls. Did you think that you were going to have boys?
I knew I was going to try until I did. I knew that much. I was like,
with who? With who?
You didn't know it, but
it wasn't going to be with me because it was a max. It was a max of. I said 3 to Kenny at first, but guys, hi. You want to come say hi? Princess?
Don't say hi.
Oh.
Come here.
Camera's right there.
Come here.
Say hi. Come sit down with Dada and say hi.
Come here.
Hold it.
You want to talk to him?
Yeah.
Maddie, everybody.
Penny.
I'm getting overstimulated.
Penny, how do you feel? Tell them. Say, how do you feel?
Are you excited to be a big sister?
I'm big sister of Nene.
With the luck in the Paulinelli family, just based off of his siblings, and nobody was producing boys. Nobody at all, until his brother had his 4th kid. What'd you think the twins were going to be? Did you have any gut feeling, or you just had a want?
No, I honestly, this time around, I just didn't get my hopes up. I already knew, I don't know, being a dad to Penny now, it's I don't even really care. I just want a happy kid, a healthy, happy kid. That's all I cared about.
Yeah.
So I would have been happy regardless.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm happy I'm having boys, and it's a super big blessing to be able to have twins. But I just think I don't know. I didn't really go into it with expectations this time.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't have any gut feelings. 2 boys was shocking to me. I thought for sure, if the Lord wanted to be nice, 1 boy, 1 girl, but I really thought I was going to be twin girls for some reason. I don't know. So how do you think our first... These are just questions that I have for Kenny because it's just fun to talk about. How do you think our first year of parenthood together went, and what are some things that you would have liked to change?
Are we being
What?
We're I can say everything I want to say.
What are you going to say?
Can I be transparent or not?
Well, shit, what are you going to say?
Nothing bad.
Better not be.
No, I would say it was, I don't know. The first year I think it's beautiful chaos. You're learning a lot about yourself. You find out a lot about each other, I think, even more so. You marry somebody and you see one side of them, and then you get to see this whole other beautiful side of them, I think. Mm-hmm. Watching you be a mother was really cool for me. And so, you learn to have a deeper love for someone, I think, because of the way that you were mothering our child. I don't know. To me, that was something that was really cool, I think. And I say chaos because, you're literally, we, had a kid, and we're we don't even know what we're doing. It's how do people know, and you naturally know how to take care of the kid, but it's
it didn't come natural to me.
I mean,
it did not.
To me, it's you naturally do it, but it's you just don't understand like how hard it is, and then all the stuff that goes with it, I guess. So,
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's not like, it's not hard in the sense of like it feels like work. It's like it's hard because it's something you've never done before, but you like, I don't know. I enjoyed the challenge of it, I guess you could
What
say.
do you think? Because we obviously didn't have a chance to be married without kids. We just like we got engaged and then we were supposed to get married and then like wait to have kids. But then I got pregnant. You knocked me up.
It was your fault.
And then
In Paso, dang you.
yeah, it all happened in Paso. Wine kind of got me. I was talking to llamas. Okay, no matter what. Okay. Because we didn't have the chance, like we got married while I was pregnant and then we just went straight into parenthood and marriage. Like how do you think like that first year of dealing with both? Like we were homeowners, we were parents, and it was our first year of marriage. Like what do you think? Like how did that feel for you? Like what was that like for you?
It was beautiful chaos for me. Like, I don't know. It was just everything was tough. Like, and it was a whirlwind. Like, I think we wrapped up like probably like 5 different years of different challenges into 1 year altogether. Like we just put it all together. We're like, F it. That's just what we do though. I mean, we are kind of like organized chaos, honestly. So, I don't know. It was cool.
Unorganized?
How was it for you?
Unorganized chaos, right?
No, organized.
By the way, Fresca is so good. If you guys never had Fresca, not sponsored because like I only have 200 subscribers and like Fresca's not looking at my podcast, but if they did, just want to let them know that this is like the best soda in the world and it's delicious.
You didn't even know about it until I told you.
Yeah, Kenny was drinking them until I had it and it was just a really delicious soda. You know, I didn't think of going into marriage. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't get to have in my first year of marriage and kid and all that stuff. Like I didn't think about any of those. I don't know. I didn't think it was a big deal at all to me. But I do think that having a kid, our first year of marriage with a kid, we had a lot of, not misunderstandings, but we had to have a lot of like fierce and hard conversations, like how I wanted him to show up for me and how he wanted me to communicate what I needed from him. Like, I think that was like our biggest obstacle is that like we couldn't, I would be like, I was rage. I was pretty scary. I feel like sometimes.
You were depressed.
Yeah, I was depressed and I would like be so outraged and Kenny would be like, he'd have to calm me down and be like, babe, I'm not the problem. I'm trying to help you. Like, how can I help you? We also, I don't know, we didn't want to also like with Penny, we didn't want to give up our freedom too. Like, I feel like I resented you a little bit because I was the primary parent, always had to breastfeed, never had milk for anybody, but like he would ask me to. He wouldn't just say, I'm going to go like go golfing or whatever. But I'd be like, I started to realize that golfing were like 6-hour days. And I was like, hell to the motherfucking all. But I always used to say, like, I never want to hold Kenny back from anything because I never want to be held back from anything. Because one time, I'm going to be out for 6 hours. I'm going to be doing something, and he is going to be okay with it too. So I felt like that was my biggest obstacle is I was holding resentment that he had a little bit more freedom than I did, right? I stopped working. I became the primary mom. I was breastfeeding. Like, it was just a lot. And then, I don't know, I didn't know how to like properly communicate my feelings. But we had to have a lot of conversations where he's like, babe, you can tell me no, like, it's okay. Like, I don't have to go, you know? Like, I don't need to go golfing, like, you know? So I just think that that's probably more the difficult part. But now I feel like after she turned 1, it was fun for me because then I was like, I started to work out. I was able to go do things like, not that I wasn't before, but I didn't know how. I was also afraid. I didn't let anybody like watch her to go do things, do fun stuff. I would never ask. I feel like I could never do that. Oh, can you stay with Penny while I go be out for 6 hours for like do something fun? Like it was always, I had to be like for a reason that I needed to leave. You know, I think that's like kind of the difference between maybe like guys. I don't know. Well, let's move forward to the twins because actually last night was a really funny, so let me tell you something, guys. We don't know what the hell we're doing. So we're having twins, okay? And we have a toddler. We're trying to get our lives in order, okay? the house, everything. We have a toddler that still sleeps with us. Okay. We got her a room and a bed. She ain't slept in it. Okay.
Slept.
She ain't slept in it. Okay.
She ain't even looked at it.
Yeah.
She ain't even
She
laid
said
down.
it's cute,
She ain't even laid down and pretended to try to sleep in it. And nor have you tried to make her.
Yeah. We have 2 dogs that are going to give me bad postpartum depression and anxiety. I also feel like we haven't done like a good job at like trying to research anything about twins. I haven't. I know he hasn't. We're just straight up like, when that day comes, I guess we're going to find out. I don't know why we think like that. I don't know why. I have no clue why. Last night, Kenny, it's in my notes app. Where's your phone at? What did you say? Like, I was like, let me write this down for the podcast. He said, like randomly, like he was getting into bed and he was like, so, and he's never asked me questions about the twins, like at all. Like he said, so, and maybe that's why I didn't feel concerned, because Kenny's not asking me questions. So he goes, so how are we going to tell the twins apart? And I was like, I don't know. Like, is that something I need to stress about right now? Like, should I be worried about that? So then I had to like chat GBT it, like, or start Googling how are people doing it? Like, maybe I should research how twin parents, separated their identical twins. Then he just like is in a zone and he's like, how are we even going to do anything? Like, how are we supposed to survive? I don't know. Guys, it's just me and Kenny. We don't have a nanny because we can't afford one. Keep liking our videos. Maybe we can start making some money, some serious money. And then we'll be able to afford one. But we can't. We don't have
I just want to get sponsored by Fresca.
Yeah, I just want one sponsor is all I need. Maybe I can afford a nanny to help me with my 2 children. But I don't know how we're going to do it. I really don't. I really don't. Especially if Penny has not gone out of her room. Basically, my due date is May 26th. But it's March 12th. And they're saying end of April, 36 weeks, you could have a kid. That's basically like 1 month and a half that I'm supposed to be preparing. So we're barely asking these questions with each other. And then he said, I'm just rattled. I still don't know how to swaddle. That's my biggest fear, is not knowing how to swaddle. Okay.
I was thinking about this last night. I had a scenario in my head where there's 2 babies and they both need to be swaddled and one's crying while I'm trying to swaddle the other one who's crying. And I'm just like in swaddle hell because I'm just rattled because they're crying and they both need to be swaddled and I can't swaddle them fast enough. Because I know you ain't trying to swaddle them. You could barely roll a burrito.
Mm-hmm. I can roll a burrito.
Okay.
I could roll a burrito. I could so roll a burrito. You can't.
I cannot. The color of my skin is a hindrance in that regard.
Faux show. I mentioned that before, is that Kenny and I did not know how to swaddle. When we were in the hospital, there was one nurse that would just come up burrito freaking style Penny, and Penny only stopped crying when she swaddled. And I kind of feel bad because like I look back when we came home and Penny, like I tried swaddling, but it was just a mess right after. Like it just like, she just come out like poor kid just wanted to be swaddled and I couldn't do it. I did not know how.
That lady was good at swaddling.
She was so good.
And like they're so rough with them. I was so afraid to do anything. Penny seemed so fragile to me.
Yeah, she was 6 pounds and you're like this giant.
I know, and I was like, that lady would come in and just like, and I'm like, she's like a ninja, dude. She's like, and I'm like, man, she's just flipping Penny around like it don't even matter. I'm like, where's the neck support? No, just flip her over, flip her back, boop, boop, boop. And it's tight too. You can't you'd have to work to pull that thing out.
Yeah, we were awful in that regard. Okay, let's move on to the questions. This is a question for Kenny. So this was mostly questions for Kenny, and then some questions are thrown in there for me. But questions for Kenny. How will you convince your wife that getting a van is the way to go on the next vehicle upgrade?
This is music to my ears. You already know. Them Toyota Sienna vans, those right there, they come with all the fixings. They got refrigerator in them. They got TVs for all the kids. I'm just telling you, it's the way to go. If we were ever going to get a car, that's what I'd want to get. Cheap, effective, efficient, right? Can do it all. I mean, and they look pretty sweet.
Okay. So, guys, I am not here to offend anybody.
Yeah, you are.
Not. I don't want a van. I don't like a van. I always said I'll never be a van mom, and that's okay. I think vans are so great. They
You
are.
can have
They,
the Tesla. I'll drive the van. The van is swag.
I'm not. The kids can't even fit in the Tesla. I would have to drive the van to go anywhere.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to drive the van no matter what. We can't fit in any.
We're not getting a van.
Just saying.
So listen, guys.
Thanks for starting an argument. No.
So I will wait until because cars are extremely expensive. Okay, the car that I want.
Reason, by the way.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The cars are extremely expensive. Like, I can't believe that we have normalized already like $1,200 payments for these big cars. Like, I think that's insane. That's crazy. That's crazy. So that is not in our budget right now. That is not in our budget. We are not close to having that. And even if you could, like, if you have like, I don't know, I just can't do that unless I was actually having like major cash flow. Like, I don't know, but I am also not going to sacrifice like getting a van just because it's cheap. Like, I'm just going to wait until I get the car that I want. And I hate cars. I had the worst luck with cars. Everybody knows that. I will not be getting a van. Thanks, no. This one is, the question that I have is, how do you get Kenny to participate in so much of your interest or work? Is he just on board, period, or does it take some convincing? So I think this question is probably more tailored to like the funny ones where Kenny has to like kind of look like a fool. You know what I mean? But even like the cooking videos, maybe people think you do look like a fool, like when you're cooking with your wife. But yeah, how does that like make you feel? Does it bother you?
No. I enjoy doing things that make you happy. Like, you have to take interest in what your significant other has interest in. To me, even though I'm like not the biggest fan of like doing some of the stuff, I like to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, even if I kind of look dumb or whatever, like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Because I know you enjoy it, and like it's part of like your deal. I want to support you in what you're doing, and so like for me, I don't mind doing those things because that's what makes you happy, and it helps us in the long run anyways, trying to get your cash flow coming in.
My money up. So, one thing that I appreciated when I first met Kenny, because he met me, and we'll go into detail because people have asked, like, how did we meet and stuff. He, like, knew me in, like, my, not like my Snapchat era. I don't know if I was on Snapchat, like Instagram. Like, I was always, like, loud and chaotic and crazy. Like, he didn't meet, like, this person that he didn't know. Like, I'm not like this different person. Like, and I've always been, like, the same person, I've never tried to act like I wasn't trying to be like, oh, I'm not gonna be that way. Like, nothing I ever did was embarrassing for me. Like, I don't care if it was in front of a male or whatever, you know what I mean? And I acted like Kenny knew that I like to be on camera. I'm like, oh my God, like Instagram, or I just like to talk. I don't know if you knew anybody else that was like that, but I think, like, I don't know, he never judged me for it.
I didn't grow up in that generation.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older. Like, we did, like, phones were just starting to get cool, like, my senior year, I feel like.
So you admit you're 40.
I'm old. But, no. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you grew up with more technology.
Well, I grew up with more technology. Yes, I did. However, I also didn't have a lot of people who were just talking on Snapchat away, acting like I was some huge YouTube podcaster or something. Like, I just like to just do it. Like, that's just something that I like to do. You know what I mean? So I think what I really loved and appreciate about Kenny is that he wasn't trying to stray me away from being somebody that I wasn't, or he just always accepted that that's what I like to do. And I appreciated that, because you should never be with anybody that's trying to change you or make you different, like, and they shouldn't be like mad at you. And I'm just speaking like off of maybe stuff that I've been through before, but if you're with somebody and they want to change you, you shouldn't do that. So I don't think he minds these videos. I'm like, hey, you want to do this? Like, hey, you want to do this? Like, let's do it. And yeah, he's really good at it. I mean, he was in 2 movies, guys. Like, I'm literally married to an actor. This question: why did you raise Zoe to be such a busy? We collectively dislike her now.
Let's just not bag on someone that can't defend themselves, okay?
She's a busy, and she is not right in the head. Why did you raise her that way?
I don't think I raised her that way. She's just that way. She's attached to me. Like, I inherited your dog, and she's super attached to me. I don't know what I do to get these dogs to be attached to me because I really don't do anything with them. I can't figure it out. Like, it's not like I'm walking them religiously every day or like going out there and playing with them for 20 minutes a day. Like, I don't do any of that.
You used to before Penny.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, once you have
kids.
The thing is you think you like dogs and all this stuff and these animals, and then you have a kid and you have just a love that's just unmatched for that little human.
Yeah.
And like, I don't have time for dogs. Like, I don't, like, any moment I get, I want to spend with my wife or my kid. I don't want to spend it with dogs. Not that I hate dogs. I love my dogs. They're good dogs.
When did Kenny first get into football coaching? What was his first experience with football? That's a good question.
What was my first experience with football in general, or like coaching?
Well, let's talk about both. Like, how old were you when you first started playing football?
So I started playing football when I was 8 years old. They had the youth tackle football league, and I specifically remember I played for the Cyclones, and we had a pretty good team. But I just remember I was a big 49er fan, so my dad would take me all the 49er games, and Jerry Rice was my favorite player. Like, I loved Jerry Rice. Like, so much so, like, Jerry Rice is obviously a black dude, okay? I made my parents call me White Rice. I swear to God. And I would walk around with Jerry Rice jersey all day, and I would say I'm Jerry Rice, and all I wanted to do was play receiver. And so I went out to practice, and obviously, like, my grandpa growing up, all we did was play ball in the yard. So I could throw the ball really well.
Yeah.
And so obviously they make you do tryouts or whatever, so they have everyone throw to see who can throw good. And of course I threw the best. Mm-hmm. And then the coach was like, hey, you're playing quarterback. And I'm like, I remember I went home from practice and I bawled. I told my parents, I just want to quit football. I was like, I don't want to be a quarterback. I want to be a receiver. I'm White Rice. Like, I don't think you've ever heard this story.
I don't think I've heard that story.
I was so upset. So then, and like, I don't know, like, I loved football. So like, my parents weren't going to let me quit anything. They never let me quit. Yeah. If I started something, I had to finish it. Yeah. So no matter what. So I go out. We play football, right? Like, I'm playing quarterback, and we had this kid on our team. His name was, I'll never forget his name, Domingo Bedolla. This kid was like a little Mexican kid, and he would just smack people. And like, he would like literally just blow kids out of the water. And he was like the smallest guy on our team, but he would hit everybody. Mm-hmm. And like, so like when I was playing with him, I felt like, man, this kid's like crazy invincible. Like, anyways, he goes and he hits a kid and he breaks his wrist, and I'm like crying. This dude's wrist is out. And I'm like in tears. I'm bawling because I'm like, not Domingo. If Domingo's hurt, I can't play football. Like, I'm scared now. Yeah. I'm petrified. I just saw the dude's arm out of his freaking body. Like, I saw bones. I saw bones. I was like, I'm done playing. I told my parents after the game, I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing that. Yeah. Like, I'm going to end up like Domingo. I was like, he's the toughest kid on the team. If he's breaking his arm, I'm done. Yeah. So anyways, long story short, like, I ended up playing the season out, and I got comfortable playing tackle football. But that was like my first experience with football. I just remember being super upset that once I finished the season, I knew for a fact that I wanted to be a quarterback the rest of my life. I enjoyed touching the ball every play. Like, I enjoyed being the leader of the team. Like, it was, and I knew at a very young age I wanted to do that. And
really quick, really funny thing, when I was dating Kenny, he mentioned that he loved Jerry Rice and he loved the Niners and he always went to the games. Well, his mom saved a whole bunch of journals from school. Like, every day you'd have to talk about your day and how it went. And Kenny's journal at first grade, I think?
Yeah,
first grade. He is giving you complete play-by-play of how the Niners did on Sunday and what happened at the Niner game and how he's so mad that so-and-so didn't catch the ball and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all it was. It was football after football after football. And I was like, the fact that, like, I'm so happy that he's a coach now, because the way that I don't know, my brain wasn't working like that. Like, me, I was just like, oh, I played outside with my cousins, you know? Like, but the fact that he was giving a rundown of what went down at the game, or that he was pissed off watching TV with his papa and the whoever lost, and like, it is crazy. It's crazy the way that his mind worked at such a young age. So it's kind of cool that he played out to be this coach and played in football and stuff, or played in college. So, which you got into coaching because, well, go ahead. You speak on that, because he'll tell you about his high school life, college life, and then what you went with.
Well, no, I mean, obviously I went on to play in college, and then when I got done, like I always told myself I was going to go to the NFL. Obviously, that's a pipe dream. Every kid thinks that. And then you get around really good athletes and you realize, like, man, there's like people are really good out there, obviously.
Yeah.
So after that, I like went through this transition of like, okay, what am I going to do? So I came back home and I was like, well, everyone in my family's, I've always enjoyed like the medical side of things. And so like, it's just like naturally my mom's a nurse, my brother's a nurse, my sister's a nurse, all my aunts are nurses. Like I'm like, I'm just going to go to school to be a nurse.
Yeah.
And at that time, Coach McKinney was the head coach at Madera High. And I remember, like, I would go out there and watch practice, and he would have me come out, and I would play, like, scout team quarterback. So I would, like, throw passes and, like, play against the kids that were in high school then and just kind of help them out with whatever they needed. And he was like, man, you should really coach with me. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I just thought I was, like, young and dumb at that point, like,
pride?
Thinking back. No, it wasn't pride. It was, like, more like, oh, like I'm above this. Like I know more football than this. Yeah, I was
ego.
I was a little bit egotistical about it, I think. But realistically, I was probably more driven from the fact that I probably didn't know as much football as I think, thinking back, like
from a coach's standpoint.
Retrospectively, right?
Yeah.
Like looking back now, that was probably where that arrogance came from of like, you really don't know that much, but you can say you played at a high level, so you can act like you know more than you really do. Beyond all that, I started working in the hospital. I was going to school to be a nurse, so I was doing all my prerequisites for nursing, obviously, because I was just majoring in football up to that point. Like I was just taking whatever class kept me eligible to play football. I didn't really have a plan as to what I was going to do after football. There was no thought in my head. So when football was over, like there was like a 2-year period in my life where I was like just super depressed because it's like it was the one thing in my life that I always had, that I love the most, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
And so like you miss the camaraderie with the teammates, you miss, the locker room, practicing every day, the coaching, like being a part of something, working towards a common goal, like all those things that come with being a part of a team, all the different kind of people you get to meet. It's like a big melting pot. At least my experiences were. So not having that, there was a big void in my life, and I had nothing to fill it with. And so that was a really rough point, like for me in those 2 years. And I remember my high school outfield coach was, obviously I was going around the baseball team too. My high school baseball coach, who became the head coach, Jason Marietta, he ended up talking me into coaching baseball. And so I coached baseball the first year with him, and I really enjoyed it. I was an assistant coach with a guy named Kevin Botorf. And Kevin taught me a lot of like just about coaching in general. I only did baseball. And so that was an interesting year for me, but I instantly got all those things that I was missing back. Being a part of a team,
community and
that camaraderie, the melting pot, like, and then you start seeing yourself in these kids, right? Like you remember being those kids. You're on the same fields, and like obviously it's your alma mater. So I coach at my alma mater. I coach at Madera High, so that's where I went to school.
He went to school, so he coaches there now, which is a really cool and big deal. He was athlete of the year. What else? He was just this cool, popular guy, like really popular person. So I started coaching, and so then like coaching became like Andy. Jason ended up leaving, and the next year Andy Underwood, who's a good friend of mine, takes over, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to be the head coach of the JV team." And for me, that was like a big deal. Like, wow, like thinking back now, it's like Andy and I are super close now. Yeah.
But like for Andy to entrust a 22-year-old kid to be a head coach at the JV level, like I was definitely in over my head, but it was a big deal to me, and I took that very seriously.
Yeah.
Like to me, I was very militant about my job and like how I approach practice. I wanted to do, like I would talk to Andy. I was like, okay, what are your plays? I want to make sure I'm doing everything that you're doing, so that way when the kids are ready, like they can come up to you and they'll be ready. And then I told him, you don't have to worry about JV. Like I'm going to make sure the kids that make it through my program, like if they get through JV, they're going to be ready to play varsity.
Yeah, you took it serious.
Like, he always laughed because I would always make the kids that didn't really like baseball, they would quit. Like he always appreciated that from me. I think I made it tough for the kids that I got the guys that really loved playing through the program, and I weeded out the kids that were this dirty, wear a jersey. Coach McKinney had stepped down, and I probably that next year would have coached with him. But anyways, we had a new coach come in, Bonner Cunnings. And I had no relationship with Bonner prior to just meeting him and seeing him on campus. But I just remember he had like a super energetic personality. Like really, really, like he sat me down like 3 different times as a baseball coach. And he kept coming out to my games and he kept like asking me like, hey, can you just please coach football with me? Like I really want you to coach football. And so I finally, gave in because I just loved, and I was coaching baseball, but I, my love for football.
Yeah.
So, and I love baseball too. I love all the sports, but obviously football is my passion. So he got me into coaching football. I coached 3 years with him.
While you were a scribe.
While I was still working in the emergency room at that time, still going to school to be a nurse. And so at the end of Bonner's tenure, he had a little bit of a dust up scandal, and then he was like put on administrative leave and all that stuff. Well, when that happens, he looks at me and he looks at Mejia and he's like, all right, you're the defensive coordinator, Mejia, you're the offensive coordinator, Paulinelli, and then, Cordero, you're like the acting head coach. And so Cordero was our offensive line coach when we were in high school. And so he's looking at us and I'm looking at Timmy and Timmy's looking back at me and I'm like, well, let's go have some fun. Like we're playing with house money at this point. Yeah. And that was the first time I kind of got thrown into the fire, but everything was already established. Like we were in the middle of a season. Yeah. At that point, he was released at the end of the season. And so now it's time for them to hire a football coach. So and maybe not a lot of people know this was the first time. So at this point in my life, I'm completely done with my prerequisites. I am ready to apply to nursing school. Like my mom's getting helping me get all my stuff ready to apply for nursing school. I'm working as a coach, and I told my mom like, hey, I want to try to be the head coach at Madera High. And she's like, okay, well, you just have to make a decision on what you want to do. Like there are 2 different paths. I don't care what you want to do. Just tell us what you want to do and we'll help you do whatever it is you need to do. So I told my mom, I was like, I'm all in on like trying to get this job. Like I really want to be the head coach. Like we sit down and my mom did so much to help me. Like I had to make this whole head coaching packet and she spent so many hours between her and my brother helping me with I'm not very good with electronics. So he was helping me with all the online document, like creating it. And then my mom was helping me put all this stuff together and organize it, make sure it looks nice, all that kind of stuff. So I go, I buy a suit. I'm like, I'm going to get this job. Like, they would be dumb not to hire me. Like, so I go for the job and I have my first interview. And that was like one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done because
was this for the Madera High job?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you're sitting in a panel and they got all these people in front of you and all these people are asking you questions like, what would you do here? How would you handle this? It's like, it's not just like obviously there's other coaches that are already working there, but there's also community members and whatnot. I go through the whole interview process. They call me back. I get a second interview. So I'm like, oh man, I got this in the bag. No big deal. Like they're not calling me back unless they're going to hire me. I get called back. I do my second interview. And I remember this whole time I'm at Madera and I'm working, like basically I'm the acting head coach. I'm like doing everything with the football program.
After Cunnings left.
Yes. After he left. I remember we were at El Diamante. We were at a passing tournament actually. So I'm over there coaching our team. And I remember I get the call from Fernandez and he's like, hey, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is good. Like I'm waiting for Fernandez's call all day.
Yeah.
And he calls me and he's like, hey buddy, like I just want to let you know, like you did a phenomenal job in the interview process, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go in another direction. Thank you so much for applying, blah, blah, blah. And I was freaking crushed.
Oh.
Crushed. And like all the kids are around me, so I can't like be crushed about it. You know what I mean? At that point, I know I'm just being super long here, but
it's just funny because Kenny's talking like if he was like on a regular podcast. I've heard his podcast before, but like it's fine. Like you guys could listen or skip through, whatever is fine.
I'm just going to go fast. Okay. At that point, they hired Yosef Ferris.
Yeah.
So they told me I didn't have enough experience. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go get experience. So I call Clovis West. I meet with their coach. He's like, oh, I'll hire you as my offensive line coach right now. I go start meeting with him. Well, then Mr. Holman, the principal at the time, comes to me. And he's like, hey, we really want you to stay here. And then Yosef calls me. He's like, hey, man, I've heard nothing but great things about you. I don't know Yosef at all.
Yeah.
He's like, I just heard really good things about you. Everyone speaks very highly of you in Madera. He's like, I'd love to sit down and meet with you. So I sit down and meet with him. He offers me a spot on his staff. And he's like, man, I really want you to be here. He's like, I think you could really help me navigate this job. I'm not from Madera, blah, blah, blah. And I told him I really appreciate it, but I think I'm going to go coach at Clovis West. Well, then Cheryl Sissel calls me. She's like, hey, we got a job for you. And Clovis West had already had a job lined up for me. I was going to be like a student resource officer and going to help out there. And she goes, hey, have you ever thought about teaching? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I think it would come with the deal. She's like, well, you have this medical background. You have you have enough credits and all this stuff, and you've taken all the classes that you need to be able to teach medical terminology and medical careers. Like, would you be interested in being our medical careers and medical terminology teacher? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, well, what's the pay? And I'm like, oh, that's like twice what Clovis West is going to pay me. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that job. So then I call Yosef and I'm like, hey, I'll coach with you then, because they're going to give me a job. So at that point, that was the turning point in my life as far as coaching goes. When I met Yosef, I thought I was a good coach, but he turned me into something that I didn't even think was possible. Mm-hmm. Between him and he brought on a guy on staff, his name was Rustin Pickett. Between those two guys, they changed my life because they challenged everything that I would talk about. So if I said something, I would have to have a reason behind it, and they'd make me say or they'd make me prove why it would be a good reason to do that. Yeah. Or why do you do this, or what, you had to have a why behind everything. Yeah. And prior to that, I never had anyone challenge me in that way. And so my initial reaction when I first met those guys was like, I don't like these guys, Yeah. And I've told them this before, but they made me grow so much in that first year. And we went 0-10. It was the worst year. On paper, it was the worst year that you could have as a coach. But growth-wise, for me, that was the biggest growing point in my career as a coach, because I learned how to be a real grinder. Mm-hmm. They taught me how to really learn and study and continue to grow as a coach rather than just stay stagnant. Yeah. What you know is what you know, and that's all I ever went off of. As far when it came to football, they showed me how to study. They showed me how to connect. They showed me how to have reach out and get resources to be able to be a better coach. And most importantly, they challenged me as a human to just want more for myself. And so after that year, we became super close, and I had to look myself in the mirror and just tell myself you don't know a lot. Do you think you work hard? No, you think you work hard. Look at these guys. Yeah. And that's a very humbling experience because it's a profession dominated by alpha males, right? Yeah. We're all competitive, and it's super hard to admit when you're wrong. I think that's the biggest point of growth for all humans is being able to look yourself in the mirror and say, actually, you're really not working that hard. You really don't know as much as you think you do. Yeah. And so that's where really my life changed as far as a coach. And if you guys even watch this, thank you guys so much, because you guys changed my life in that respect. I'm super thankful to this day, and we're still tight to this day. We're all competing against each other. But yeah, that's kind of my long story about how I got into coaching.
And then Ferris went on to another school, and then that's when Kenny got the head coaching job at Madera High.
Speaking of Ferris, the whole time when I told him I was going to come on and be a coach with him, he pulled me into his office and he said, hey, look, if you want to be a head coach, I'll help you get there. He just told me I'm going to teach you how to be a head coach. If that's what you want to do, I will make sure you do that. I literally wouldn't be the dude I am today.
Yeah, you give him and Russ their flowers a lot. He wouldn't have been the coach. He would have never been ready. It was a blessing to not get that call from what's his name the first time.
Yeah.
You weren't ready. You thought you were ready because you had a suit on and you thought you felt all good about it, but you were not ready. So I think that's the cool thing. So then ever since then, Kenny has been coaching at Madera High. It's really cool because he's a big part of the community, and everyone that knows Kenny, they know him from football. So he had an amazing season last year. And I mean, I feel he's changed the whole trajectory of Madera High football. And I'm only saying that. I'm not saying that because he's my husband, but I really do think that Kenny is a great coach. So that was a really long segment for you, babe.
Sorry.
It's okay. When it's football, Kenny just talks a lot. So, okay, next question. What kind of acting did you do? So Kenny is not even an actor.
Stop. Yes, I am.
He's just an extra in a movie, and he
Okay.
calls himself an actor.
Are extras not important? Dude, she's such a hater. Okay, look. That's like saying this isn't a podcast. You're just a girl talking on the mic.
I am.
Because podcasters have like thousands of followers. You don't. Okay, but I'm not saying that. Okay, look. I'm a 4-year drama kid. Shout out Miss Latimer. If you ever had Miss Latimer, you know, right? The GOAT.
We're from Madeira, by the way.
Okay, yeah, we are. Hey, Miss Latimer, my drama teacher, I would have been in every play had I not played sports. I played sports all year round, so I was never able to go to like the practices for the plays and stuff, but I loved drama. And Miss Latimer like taught me how to love drama. Like when I first had her drama 1 class, I fell in love with acting and like being able to do monologues and being able to like just do skits. Like the skits were always my funnest thing. You would go into class and we'd have to make up our skits. She'd give us a scenario and then we'd have to act out a skit, and it was all off the top of the head. And so that was always fun for me. So years down the road now that I'm older, Miss Latimer's working with like film directors out of LA, and they make small type movies. And so anytime she has roles that like she thinks I would fit in with, well, she calls me and it's like, hey, do you want to be in a movie? So yeah, I've taken 2 roles.
He has an IMDb account.
Yes, the first movie I was in, I was a hospital orderly. So like basically I was in the hospital and this girl's like going crazy, so she's trying to escape, and I like have to stop her from escaping, and I put her back in her room. That's my whole. I don't even say a word. Okay, I'm just wearing scrubs. I pick this girl up and throw her back in her hospital room. Okay, the second movie I'm in, it's not even released yet, but it should be released here soon. I keep saying I've said that for like 2 years. I don't know when they're going to release it.
Like 5 years.
It may never get released. I don't know. But I was the San Jose Inquirer like news reporter, and we're all reading the letters from the Zodiac Killer. And so it like cuts to all these different news reporters because he sends it out to all these reporters. Anyways, I got lines in that one. I actually got paid for that one.
He actually got a check.
Got $150.
$150. I remember seeing that.
That's
check.
how you know you're a real actor. See, people say they're actors. You're not a real actor till you get paid. I got paid for that job. You ain't getting paid for this podcast.
Yeah, I'm not a real podcaster. Question was brought up a few times, but it's how did you guys meet? I don't think I've ever actually sat down and told anybody how we met. So it's really funny because Kenny and I are both from Madeira. Okay, and although he's 6 years older than me, I knew a lot of his people around him, okay? But I just didn't know him. And Kenny is just like this odd man out of Madeira people. We're like 85% Hispanic in Madeira. He is this tall white male, okay? I don't know what he's doing here, where he came from. So one time I'm out at Backstreet Bar and Grill. You guys know Backstreet Bar and Grill in Madeira. Well, I remember just being called over there to go play pool. Somebody was playing pool, and they're like, come play pool. I don't know how to play pool, but I was just going along wherever. It was a Friday night. And the reason why I know it was a Friday night was because of this. I'll tell you in a minute. So I walk in, I'm in this black leather jacket, and I am walking into the pool table. Kenny is intoxicated. He turns around and he spills a drink on me. Okay. And I was like, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? And then I was like, my first initial thought was, who is this white, tall man in Madeira that just spilled a drink on me? And then I see Mark, who is my cousin Crystal's husband, there with him. And I go to Mark and said, Mark, who the hell is this guy? He just spilled his drink on me. And he goes, oh, this is why it's a Friday night. He tells me, oh, he just lost his football game. So after his football game, he was at Backstreet Bar and Grill, just having a couple of drinks with his friends. So Mark was telling me, he's like, yeah, he's just a little sad right now. And I was like, okay. So that is it. Okay. Nothing of it. Just this random man who just freaking dropped a drink on me. Kenny does not remember this at all.
I don't.
Okay.
I do not remember that.
So a week later, a week to the T, because I believe Sammy and Brandon got married on a Saturday or a Friday, I think. No, because then you would have had football. It was a Saturday. Or was it Friday? No, it was Saturday.
It was a Friday.
They got married on Friday?
It was during my bye week, though.
Okay. It was during their bye week. So so Sammy is she's like a cousin to me, grew up with her, and I know her husband, right? When they got engaged, I've known Brandon, and I've known all Brandon's friends, okay? I've known them all. But when I went to their wedding, I went and it was in Monterey. I freaking get there a little bit late. I missed the like I do's, I think, or I'm getting there just on time. And I see freaking Kenny right next to Brandon. And I was like, what the fuck? That's the same guy that spilled a drink on me last week at the bar. That is so crazy. Like, what the heck? That's so strange. And one of the funny things, I was like, who is this guy? Because I've never seen Brandon's him as a friend. And I knew Brandon's best friend was Josh, but he was in the military and Josh was in the Navy and he couldn't come down or whatever. So I thought it was just bizarre for me that I see this guy who spilled the drink on me and then I see him at a wedding. Throughout the night, if you guys knew me back then, I Snapchatted every single thing. Like, it was a movie. Every time I went out, you guys were watching like 30 minutes worth of Snapchats of me and my night and how it went. So Sammy's getting married, right? And I'm recording the whole damn thing. I have like a 20-minute save video on my phone from their wedding, and I'm recording everybody. Well, Kenny, he's the best man, so he's saying a speech. I'm recording his speech. I'm recording the father-in-law speech, but I'm also recording Kenny. So I'm recording him, and it was funny because I record and I'm crying. Okay. I'm just crying because I love words. I love words of like, I don't know. I'm so sentimental. And when somebody has something nice to say, it makes me so happy. So, and I just love memories. So I'm recording. Well, Kenny had a pause in his break and my Snapchat replayed. So he like looked at me in the crowd and was like, someone like recording through Snapchat or something. And I was like, oh, like, like I don't know. It was like a moment like that. But then after that was the father-in-law who needed to speak. So Kenny comes up to me. He's like, why are you crying?
No, I was standing next to you.
Oh yeah, he was standing next to me. And he goes, why are you crying? It was a very small and intimate wedding. So he's like, why are you crying? And I was like, I literally wanted to slap him. I was like,
the Crown and Cokes were hitting.
Yeah. I was like, because this is beautiful. Like, what the heck? Like, this is a beautiful thing to watch. Like, what do you mean? And he was like, he didn't even say anything to me. He was like,
no, I said, this is at the wedding. You're supposed to be happy.
Yeah, he's like, this is the wedding. You're supposed to.
Time.
This is a happy time.
And
I was like, I just walked away from the guy because he's not going to understand. I'm not going to, explain to him why I'm crying. And then that was it throughout the night, really, right? Oh, then wedding ended. There was like an after party, and I was like sober. I was sober. I was not drinking because I had to drive back that same day. I did not get a hotel. So I had my car, but everybody else was drunk. And I go get my car, pick up who was supposed to be like just a couple of friends, not Kenny. He gets in the front seat of my car. In my Toyota RAV. And I was like, what the fuck is this stupid mother effer doing right here? Like, what is he doing? And he's like, give me the aux. Like, and I was like,
this is the most...
What, Kenny thing? Yeah. He's like, give me the aux. And then he starts playing Biggie, right? He starts playing Biggie. Yeah. And I love Biggie, okay? But like, I love Biggie because I actually grew up listening to him in the hood, you know what I mean? Kenny was white rice.
Oh, stop. I listened to Biggie. Come on.
He listened to Biggie. He
that was my time period. I'm older. Remember?
Yeah. He was older. No, but he started playing Juicy, and I was like rapping the whole thing. He was rapping the whole thing, and it was funny. But like at that time, there was no connection made at all. It was just like random cases. So basically, I'm just talking about how my first like interactions with Kenny. So after the wedding, that was it. He's still like this like nobody person to me. He wasn't like, we weren't friends. We didn't become friends after that. So that was November. And if a lot of you guys remember, I was planning a Europe trip to, I was planning a trip to Europe. Me and my best friend were taking off. So we're selling tamales. And on Twitter, I was promoting my tamales. And I think like he got into a conversation with Mark on Twitter and was like, oh, I want to buy some tamales. And I'm like, dude, if you're trying to be a customer, like, sure. But if you're not, like, no, But after that, a couple months passed. Like what? January before, like
whenever you came back, it was like 3 months.
Well, no, like January. When I left to Europe, then we started becoming like friends. Like we found each other on social media, and we just started like I guess like just talking and enjoying our conversation. I just got out of a relationship like a year ago from that point. So I was like living my best life. He got out of a relationship, so he was living his best life. But he was also very like, I don't know, like, I don't know. He just was so in love with me that.
Oh God.
No, but we just talked a lot. In Europe is when I kind of got to know him. So it was kind of cool that I got to know Kenny without like seeing him. Like I don't know if I feel like he became more of like a friend to me. Like obviously like, I grew feelings, talking to somebody every single day when I was in Europe, but it was also nothing serious. I felt like we were just on different timelines of our life too. You know what I mean? Like I was living my best life. I got into Fresno State that year. He was coaching and he was just getting out of a relationship, and like we're just like, it was just too much. Like, I didn't think that we should be in a serious relationship, I guess, at that point. You know what I mean? So anyway, I come back like April. We hang out a bit, but really still like nothing really serious. I went and did my own thing. I was still doing my own thing. He was doing his own thing. And then towards the end of the year, we were still keeping in contact. And then we ended up being together in November. No, maybe November or December, but end of the year 2017.
No, it was November, remember? Because it was Thanksgiving. I was like, hey, this is my girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. So Kenny, he never asked me to be his girlfriend. He was just like, I went to his parents' Thanksgiving, right? I didn't think that we were in a relationship because he never said it. But when everyone's like, oh, who's this? He's like, this is my girlfriend. I looked at him. I was like, I'm your girlfriend? Like, oh, okay. Oh, we're serious. So that's how we met. Okay, so what are your guys' plan for telling the twins apart in the early days? I don't know, but when I did chat GBT, it did say that like you should paint their nail polish, like, or put like a name tag on them, or different colored clothes. So
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Most ridiculous thing you Googled about the twins? Honestly, I don't know.
That's a question for her. I don't Google stuff.
I haven't Googled much because, yeah, I don't know. Oh, do you guys have any cute nicknames for each other? No. You should. Why don't you call me like Honey Bunches of Oats or anything cute?
Even though that was a cute nickname for you.
Just joking. Okay, do you guys have any cute nicknames for each other? No, we're not.
I don't know why you don't have one for me, honestly.
No, like we just like, I think we just based off our like relationship too. Like it wasn't like this romantic thing. It was really lots of fun. Just like, I don't know. It wasn't like, hey, sweetie pie.
No.
It was more like, what's up?
No, the thing is she's awkward. She can't do like nicknames and be sweet. Like,
yeah. She
just like is either like over the top outrageous or just normal. So we'll just stick with normal. You see
so
what I'm saying?
Call each other.
Like, who does that?
We just call each other babe. Okay, so no cute nicknames. And then how did you guys meet? Yep. Okay, so how will life change after the twins are born? I don't know. We're just gonna have to like. I'm sure life will change in the way that like we can't probably travel as much because that's a little bit harder. I mean, I don't know. I still like to try. When Kenny and I, when we first had, even before we had kids, we always said that we wanted our kids to adapt to the lifestyle that we had. So, I mean, that's why I take Penny to every Friday night game. We try to take her traveling with us at any time, like, and it's worked really well. But we're obviously going to have a little bit harder time with two kids at the same time. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We're hoping that it's not too much, but it'll be hard.
It'll be hard, but it's like anything. It's a new experience. It's a new challenge, but you adapt and you overcome and you find ways to make it work. I mean, that's what life's all about. So we'll figure it out.
Okay. So one last question. How does Kenny feel it will be juggling work, 2 newborns, and a toddler? So that question was very interesting to me because I never thought to ask that to Kenny. And I'm not saying like it's because like we don't like think of like asking men, but like not that I feel like it's all on me, but I was like, damn, that's a good question. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, I don't know. Like, you have work, you have 2 newborns and a toddler.
Just gonna need a cup of coffee and a good attitude. That's all it takes, honestly. I mean, honestly, it's gonna be really tough. Because you want to, like, in everything I do, I want to do it well. So it's like, I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good husband. Like, I want to be a great coach. I want to be,
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to miss out on me giving whatever it is that I have the best effort that day. So it's like, for me, it's just going to be like, there's going to be some sacrifice, obviously. Like, maybe I don't have as much leisure time for myself, but like, sometimes you have to make sacrifices in your life to be able to accommodate everything that's going on.
I think it's all temporary too.
It
right?
is temporary. It's temporary. You have to like make sacrifices in the temporary for the long run to be better. So like, to me, it's like, I don't think there's going to be anything I'd want to rather do than spend time with all my kids when I have free time. You know what I mean? So it's like, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. Like, like maybe hanging out with my friends is going to look different. Like, maybe my friends will come over and hang out with me and the twins and, Penny. But like, you know what I mean? The people that really want to see you, the people that really want to be around you, they'll find ways to work it in your schedule as well. You know what I mean?
And we just, I guess we just have to figure it out. It's just like adapting. We got to.
But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fresh roasted coffee going on.
I'm going to have to take like 4 cups of coffee. But okay, I think that was all our questions. This was really fun answering and talking. Kenny's segment about football took like freaking the whole damn podcast. So.
Hey, look, I'll tell you this. You get me talking about
lesson
football.
learned. Nobody asked about football.
Stop asking me about football.
Yeah, stop.
But we'll do it again. I'll be back, guys. I know this is probably going to be the most watched podcast.
You're so annoying.
No, we're a great team. We're a great team.
Okay. All right. Thanks for chatting with Jax. We'll see you guys next week.